Storm is out, and one of those who made it onto the list is our very own SABC's Siphumelele Zondi. Now, Siphumelele is a producer and anchor of a technology news program network, which is right here on SABC 4 on 404, as well as SABC 3. And how does it feel to be one of the 200 young South Africans, and what is the criteria that is used to select those youngsters? Well, let me not get into it. To find out more about that, we are very pleased to be joined by Siphumelele Zondi, who's joining us from our Durban studios. And here in studio with me, Miss Zamantungwa, Khumalo, Supplements and Special Projects Editor at the Mail and Guardian. Let's start with you, Zamantungwa. Welcome to AM News.
Thank you so much for having me, Alicia.
All right. Congratulations, Siphumelele. I'm so mad that you couldn't be here in studio, but good morning to you too. Siphumelele, can you hear us? All right, while they're fixing Siphumelele's sound, let's hear from you.
All right, Alicia, hello. I can't hear a thing at the moment, but what I can tell you is that it was quite exciting a couple of days ago when I...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying it was quite exciting a couple of days ago when it was about 2 nights ago when I found out about it. And because you get told you're nominated for this. I remember meeting one of the other nominees at the gala dinner that was held 2 nights ago. And we were like, we don't really know what it is because there are so many great South Africans. Yeah. They say they received 2,000 or more than 2,400 nominations. And we don't know if we made the cut in the 200 that are recognized as the top young South Africans for this particular year.
Very interesting. Such a big smile that you put on his face, Zamantungwa. Talk to us about this project of 200 young South Africans. What is the criteria that you use to select them?
So, I mean, Alicia, before the criteria, I think we'll take a bit of a step back. Yeah. If you know, this year was its 12th year running. So every year around June, the Mail and Guardian recognizes 200 exceptional young South Africans. And in its 12th year, we decided to kind of put a spin on it. I mean, this year we reflected on then, now, and always, and reflecting on some of the people who've actually made this list. And it's included the likes of Julius Malema. When he was on the list, I think it was in 2014, he was the president of the ANC Youth League, and now he's the EFF president and has his own political party. Bonang Mateba was on, Kagiso Rabada. When we had him on, he was a rising star. So there's a category that was rising star. Wow. And now is one of the best bowlers in the world. So this year we're essentially rubber stamping the fact that this list is the list to look forward to that recognizes exceptional young South Africans, and the list that if you ever wanted to know who's great in whatever field, you go to it. And so essentially the criteria is every year in January we open up the call for nominations, and South Africans from all across the world really are able to nominate who they think should make this year's list. This year we received over 2,400 nominations, and as the team we essentially go through every single nomination and what the motivation is for the young people. And it just so happened that we sent the email to Siphumelele to also say that he's been one of the ones who were shortlisted. Oh, wow. And we kind of kept it very hush-hush. You know, we sent the list, we sent the people who had been shortlisted and said, congratulations, you've been shortlisted.
He can't stop smiling. Look at him.
and when they attended the gala dinner, they didn't actually know that they'd in fact made the final 200. Yeah.
Maybe Siphumelele, take us through why you think you were selected for such a prestigious, a project.
I would assume it's the work that I've done in the media space, in the years that I've been working in the media space, the work that I currently do at the moment on Network, which, as you know, it's a tech show that tries to find innovative tech ideas that are coming from all over the African continent, really, because we rarely talk about Africa as a tech leader, but we lead in a lot of spaces. Mobile money is one of them. You're finding brilliant health solutions coming out of the African continent and being used in other parts of the world as well. For example, a lot of people don't even know that prepaid phone credits is a South African concept. Apart from that, I've done work in the education space, and over there, I launched a blog with my students, which was also nominated for the South African Blog Awards. I've done a whole lot of things in the media space, and it's really great to be recognized for that, and also because you don't nominate yourself for this, as Zamantungwa has said. It's other people who've been observing your work, who feel that your work is great, that put your name forward, and then when the judges selected by the Mail and Guardian then select the top, who they think is worthy of being part of the top 200 for that particular year. So yeah, I think it's the work that I've been doing in the media space and the education space in South Africa.
Don't worry, we do recognize your wonderful work, Siphumelele. Let me just ask Zamantungwa here, have you had any people nominate themselves to a point where they've actually become one of the 200? Because we do know there are some people that will not recognize good work, Zamantungwa.
And you know, it's not even that we won't have people recognize good work. Sometimes the nature of the work that you do might not be the work that would, for example, trend on social media, because we are in the age of social media. So we actually did have people who've nominated themselves and made the final list. And if anything, it's testimony to how even when you do great work and you think you deserve recognition for it, and it can be in small towns or in like a rural village where perhaps you don't even use social media as much as the rest of us. And I think that was a really big focus for us this year, that we wanted a truly inclusive list. And by inclusive is, you know, when I was briefing the team, I said, if you are somebody who's never been to South Africa, or you don't really know South Africa that much, and you land at Ora Tambo International and you pick up this list, it needs to show you the breadth and depth of what South African youth have to offer. Not just in terms of our interests, but even in terms of our race. I mean, this is a truly inclusive list, even when you look at the representation. So many young black men and women doing phenomenal work. There are a lot of, I mean, I was seeing on social media people saying there are so many black female doctors in the health section. And that was quite deliberate, because I wanted to make sure that when you pick this up, you know that this is how South African looks like.
Absolutely.
And that it doesn't just leave, you know, oftentimes in the years when we were reflecting on this, we found that it was very much Cape Town, Joburg, Durban based, but this year it truly was inclusive. I mean, you've got, I know there's a Dr. Kolobe who's from Limpopo, and he studied zoology at the University of Limpopo, and then moved to Grahamstown to go do his PhD in seaweed studies. And when he reflects on like the shift, exactly, right? Who even knows? I didn't even know there was such a thing. And even he says he didn't know that there was such a thing. And yet now he's like a marine biologist. And for me, those are the types of stories that we needed to get out there, because young South Africans are doing just that.
Let's talk about what's next then. And I'm going to extend the same question to Siphumelele. Where does he hope this accolade will now take him to? But Zamantungwa, what happens? The list of 200 has been selected. What are they going to get? Are they going to go on tour? Are they going to get something, some goodies? I mean, I'm just asking on behalf of Siphumelele.
So I think, if anything, a lot of people, the alumni who've made the list before, have come to us and said, you know what, you putting me on blast has helped me so much, whether they've landed interviews or oftentimes people put it on their profile. Already last night I was seeing people have put it on their Twitter bios. The moment you walk into a room and you say, I'm a 200 young South African alum, people take you a bit more seriously. You'll be literally, they stand up and they're like, okay, you were recognized by this credible newspaper. Surely I must take you seriously.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge thing for young people, especially when they're starting their own nonprofits or their own businesses, and they want to be taken seriously. So I think it's a very huge boost insofar as you're, you know, expanding your network wherever you go. And I'd urge people who've made the list to really maximize it, because when you walk around and you say, this is the list I've made, people do actually take you more seriously.
Absolutely. Siphumelele, speaking of expanding your network, I mean, no pun intended there. What are you going to do with this great achievement?
It really is a prestigious list, and if you ask any young South African, they want to be on this list, because it can really propel you forward. And I never stop dreaming. I'm always dreaming. I'm always thinking of new innovative ways and things to do. So I am hoping that it's going, and I bet it will help in me achieving those dreams that I constantly have. I will not tell you what my dreams are at the moment, but I never stop dreaming, and there are dreams in my mind.
And Siphumelele, just to encourage others, you know, I mean, some people might feel that the work that they're doing might not be getting recognition or the correct recognition. And I mean, what should they do to persevere? Because somebody is always watching. This is what we're always telling people. Somebody will recognize you when your time is up.
Alicia, I really believe that you need to do work that fulfills you and work that you really, really love doing. Because I think if you then start doing work for rewards, then you might find that you don't have personal happiness and personal fulfillment.
True.
One day, we all hope that someone will recognize you. And for as long as you are fulfilled, for as long as you feel you're making a difference, I bet that someone will be recognizing that you are making a difference and you are helping move South Africa and possibly the whole of the African continent forward.
Absolutely. Now, Zamantungwa, let's talk about the different categories. Is there different categories that you have within the list of 200? And then what happens? I mean, when's the next batch of entries? And I know people are probably sitting there going, I'm doing something that needs recognition. How do I sign up?
So there are 11 categories. You've got from arts and entertainment, film and media, science and technology, education, civil society, justice and law, politics and governance. I'm probably missing a few.
So all spheres of society,
so it's
basically.
Literally every sphere of society. And we really try to even make every category as inclusive as possible. So for example, when you look at the health category, you don't just so you don't just have the doctors.
The doctors,
because then there are so many people in the value chain.
There's home caregivers as well.
So there's a homeopath on the list. There's a health promoter on the list. When you look at film and media, you don't just have, for example, Siphumelele, but you have people who've also co-founded their own initiatives, people who work at established media houses or people who've established their own media houses. So you really want the breadth of what that category has to what it caters for. And I think in terms of the next batch, we always open it up in January. So I think for now we're still celebrating the current 200. And on social media we're still celebrating quite a lot of them. And early in January next year we'll open up the list for nominations again, where people can nominate who they think, or nominate themselves if they think that they should be recognized as the top 200 young South Africans.
And as Mail and Guardian, I mean, what are you putting behind this initiative? What is your main aim behind this drive?
I think the big thing for us is, oftentimes we talk about how, youth are disollusioned or they're very apathetic. And we're very quick to, and I'm a young person, I'm 27 years old, and we're always very quick, or older people are always very quick to point out where our shortfalling is. And yet we are the ones who are already leading in our respective fields. I mean, often on Youth Month, and we've heard it this month, people talk about the future leaders of tomorrow. There's no such thing. We're already leading today. So we're not the future leaders of tomorrow. We are the current leaders of today.
That's true.
And if anything, this list showcases the 200 who are leading in their respective fields. It showcases that these are the young people who are very deliberately writing the history that they want to be a part of, and that they deserve recognition.
Absolutely.
And I think this whole notion that young people are apathetic or young people don't do enough and all they do is sit and complain on social media, we're debunking that, and we're saying, look at the phenomenal work young people are doing in every corner of this country. And really that's quite a huge achievement, and to find all these stories is quite a feat.
Zamantungwa, he is my friend. I'm very proud to call him my friend. Siphumelele, I'm going to give you the final say on this, and do encourage others and also promote the show. When can they watch your show? What can they expect from your show? And what can they expect from you as an individual? One of the 200 top achievers. I'm going to say that again.
All right, so Network is on SABC3 and SABC News every Sunday at 9 p.m. And we really try to do as much as possible in uncovering young African, or rather new African innovations and inventions in the technology sector. And what they can expect from me, well, they can expect a lot. I'm still young, and there's a lot that, as I say, there's a lot that I'm constantly dreaming up. I'm constantly trying to conceive and come up with as well.
All right, Siphumelele, congratulations once again. Can't wait to see you and buy you a cup of coffee when you come back. Zamantungwa, thank you so much. And keep persevering and finding those talents that is unrecognized, that is out there, that is rough among in the streets of wherever where people don't normally venture. Well, that was Siphumelele Zondi and Zamantungwa Khumalo talking to us about the Mail and Guardian's list of 200 most influential young South Africans list. Let's take a look at more news now.